For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily.
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Back to work on an Odd Man Rush Wednesday here on Mammoth Daily. Mike Fulta and Adrian Denny, your Hockey Night in Utah radio crew. Glad to be with you here on this beautiful Wednesday in Salt Lake City. The Montreal Canadiens are in town to take on the Utah Mammoth, wrapping up this 4-game homestand for the Mammoth, of which Utah has won their last 2 games, trying to take 3 of 4 on this homestand and taking on Montreal for the second time in this season so far. Adrian, want to remind everybody that we are not going to have shows on Thanksgiving or on Black Friday. So this will be our last show of the week right here. We'll be right back at it Monday with our Monday morning power play. And we're transitioning to the team YouTube page. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember or get in the habit starting today of moving over to the team page because we don't want to leave anybody behind. We are abandoning our the ship that got us out to sea, our own rogue YouTube page. We're moving over to the team site. So make sure you're subscribed and tuning in there.
Yeah, if you want to buy the page as well, send us a DM or leave a comment in YouTube's and we'll get back to you. But yeah, just want to make sure everybody got the memo and want to make sure that everybody knows no show Thanksgiving and Black Friday because we know how dedicated our listeners are. And if you wake up Thursday and there's no show, don't panic. Don't think that Spotify had another outage. Just no shows Thursday, Friday, and back on Monday as the team hits the road. Mike, Montreal in town tonight. Gosh, you want to talk about 2 teams kind of on parallels? You know, Montreal started the year 10-3-2. Mammoth were 8-2, but both teams have kind of had some ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and the Montreal Canadiens, the latest team to come to Salt Lake in the middle of a Utah, Vegas, Colorado swing. Hasn't gone well for the first 2 teams that did that. Boston and the Rangers both went winless in 3 games, but Montreal's last couple weeks here a little sneaky, Mike. Since they beat Utah and were 10-3-2, they have 1 win in their last 6 games, and they've lost 3 losses. They've lost 3 games by at least 4 goals, surrendering 4 or more in 4 of 6 games. 4, 5, 7, and 8 goals allowed. However, after an 8-4 loss at Washington last week, they kind of had a Utah Friday where they had a team meeting with Martin St. Louis, their coach, and it sounded a lot like what the Mammoth processed after losing to Vegas. They came out next night, beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-2, and said the meeting was a good reset. So 2 young teams who got off to a good start, went through some bumps in November, going to meet on a Wednesday night right before Thanksgiving here at the Delta Center as Utah looks to take advantage of another second chance. Good on second chances this year, Mike. Lost to Colorado first game, beat them. Lost to Vegas first game, beat them in the second. Here's another second chance.
You are buzzing right now. Great points. The schedules, the repeat chances. I love it. That 5-2 win on Saturday for Montreal was the last time they played. So they're going to come in well rested here to start this road trip, which you mentioned is a gauntlet. Utah, Vegas, and then Colorado. Good luck. But that win on Saturday snapped what was a 5-game losing streak. Adrian, you know, we were struggling here with the Mammoth. They had lost 9 of 11, but the Canadiens had gone 2 weeks in between wins, basically. And up in Habs country, that does not play very well more often than not. Now, they have been dealing with some key injuries. If you're watching on YouTube, you see Alex Newhook. He's had a really good start to the year. He has been out the last couple of games. They've been without Caden Gooley, a defenseman, and Patrick Laine, a big piece up front. Kirby Doc sustained an injury as well. So they've been bitten by the the injury bug a little bit. Their goaltending has faltered a little bit as well. The last couple, we saw Jakub Dobeš win his first 6 games with Montreal, but then he had lost 4 in a row. Sam Montembeault has had kind of a shaky start to the year. He's given up 3 goals or more in 10 of his 14 starts so far this season. The offense is dried up a little bit from a Montreal team that was at the very top of the scoring list to start the year. Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, their 2 top guns up front, only 2 combined goals over the last 6 games. Juraj Slafkovský, their number 1 overall pick from a few years ago, no goals in his last 9 games. Zach Bolduc had goals in 3 straight games to start the year, but no goals in his last 13. So some of the pieces that were producing earlier have gone a little bit quiet recently. However, this team is still 4th best offensively in the NHL. Utah found that out the hard way at the Bell Center in Montreal when these 2 teams last met, with Cole Caulfield having a great game, scoring a couple goals. And I believe Montreal put up 5. It's been so long since then. Was that 5-2 AD? I don't want to say the wrong score here. Did I get that right?
Gosh. I've got it right here. 6-2 was it?
6-2.
The final.
Oh, see, I put it out of my mind. But 6-2, that case in point, Montreal can fill it up. And they might be a top 5 offensive team, but they're also the 6th worst defensive team in the NHL, just in terms of goals against. Part of that has been the goaltending. But if Utah can tilt the ice a little bit, this is a Canadiens team that will give up shots, and they like to possess the puck, AD. We know that Martin St. Louis played that way when he was an NHLer himself. His team very much plays that way. So if Utah can get in on the forecheck like they did it on Monday against Vegas, then they can tilt the ice towards the Canadiens and make those star players, Caulfield and Suzuki, have to defend in their own zone.
I think if you look at how Utah scored their goals on Saturday against the Rangers with the bodies in front and going hard to the net and being in front of the goal mouth there, and Utah's defense against Vegas on Monday night, despite allowing 34 shots, Mike, they looked a lot like Vegas. I said on yesterday's episode, they out Vegased Vegas. And if you out Vegas, you're playing playoff hockey in the regular season, because it's what Vegas does. They're hard, they're heavy, they don't give you anything easy. And that was a really nice performance there from the Mammoth. And you brought it up. We're talking about it on Hockey Night in Utah, and we really didn't solicit your question, your topic. It was kind of just me and you bantering on Twitter because we don't text each other enough, right? Sometimes, we go to alternative platforms, and we had some folks weigh in. And your question, Mike, besides Cooley and Vejmelka, who was the first star of the game for the Mammoth on Monday night? And Rod, following us both, so he saw it. He weighs in. He says Gunther would be a good pick, but I'll go with Cole to represent the penalty kill and clearing shots away from the net. Dave checks in. He says Nate Schmidt wouldn't have been a bad choice either with his 2 assists against his former team. But I thought it was a great question, Mike, because I thought it was the 2nd straight game for the Mammoth where top to bottom you could look at everybody and find great stuff that happened. Lawson Krause jumping out on the box score. Krauser had 4 hits in the game and 2 blocked shots. 12 guys had blocked shots. 11 guys had hits. It was all over, up and down. But it's a lot of fun sometimes to look and see it. Blocked shots, hits, time on ice, and see other contributions outside of goals and assists. And that's why I love the question that you posed late on Monday night that a lot of folks jumped in on.
Dave with the response on there. His handle, I think it's Super Dave Martin. Here it is. Is that what it reads? So yes,
that's it.
Super Dave Martin on Twitter. You guys got to go follow Dave Martin. We don't often throw the bat signal up to our followers like this, but Dave Martin came at us and tagged me and Nick Olczyk in his victory anthems, Adrian. And it's unbelievable. Like, it's an AI generated rock song, but it sounds like it's straight out of a Bon Jovi album. I mean, it is outstanding. Between Dave's victory anthems and Hockey Club Clayton's pregame anthems, we are musically covered from top to bottom. And I am impressed by the talent of our fan base.
You know, we play a lot of songs on Hockey Night in Utah, Mike. We got Wooly Bully from the victory anthem at Delta Center, the great hit from 1965 from Sam and the Shams and that group. And, you know, the team's playing Funky Town in the locker room after wins. We could start playing the jams here on the podcast. Clayton on the guitar and Dave with his synthesizer there that he's putting everything together on. We're all over it.
No, that's great stuff. And you brought up the hits a little bit ago. Jack McBain with some huge hits on Monday. He was really noticeable. And in the first meeting between Utah and Vegas, it was the Golden Knights who were more physical. Reinhart had the big hit on Stenlund to kind of change the game. But Utah was the physical team, I thought, or was asserting themselves more physically. I brought up the forecheck when talking about keys for tonight against Montreal. You look at the analytics and you look at kind of where Utah's chances came from, and the scoring chances in a 5-1 game were pretty even in most categories, or even advantage Vegas when you go down the list, except for the turnover chances. Utah had way more chances created by turnovers, forcing Vegas into turnovers, and that's what led to those goals off the rush that we saw from Cooley twice and Gunther as well. And that's the forecheck. Not necessarily when Eichel turned it over in his own or in the offensive zone and Cooley scores in a breakaway, but the previous 2 goals before that, when Utah gets it on the forecheck and then in their neutral zone forecheck creates a turnover and does not allow Vegas to work the puck up the ice from their own end. And then you saw Cooley and Gunther on both of those first 2 goals kind of quickly reload after turnovers and move right back into the offensive zone and score. So establishing the forecheck, I think, is huge. I was talking with Nick DeSimone about this a couple days ago, and this was before the Ranger game. So I was kind of asking him, like, what's going on? Like, what do you think you guys need to do? And he was like, yeah, I think like when we're going, our forecheck is going. And I think that too. And that's a way for Utah to utilize its team speed. You've got guys like Krause and McBain and Tanev and Carcone that are blowing guys up on the forecheck, but you also have the other guys in the top 2 lines that are using that speed to play through the hands of the opposition's defense, create those loose pucks, and then create that space that you see in the offensive zone. A lot of times when you're established in the O zone and you're trying to get scoring chances off the cycle, a lot of times there's 10 skaters in the zone at one time, so there's not time and space. But when you create turnovers like that, then you create those odd man matchups, and then there's more space in the offensive zone because half the players are in the neutral zone or up the ice thinking that the puck is going to get to them. But if you can create that turnover, you'll have numbers in your favor.
How about Nate Schmidt talking about that and the way that he helped create both Utah goals? And he's been playing with John Marino, and that pairing has really been good for the Mammoth. And Schmidt, the career high 5-game scoring streak, and in his last 9 games, he's got 7 points. But those guys together in the first period last night, they out-attempted Vegas 7-2, outshot them 4-0. Entering the game yesterday, when they were together, their shot attempt differential was plus 103, and their goal differential was plus 5.
Is that good?
When they're not together, Utah has a -6 goal differential. So John Marino has been so crafty too, Mike, with the way that he's been able to navigate with the puck, and a simple, quick D-to-D pass that gets it up ice, or maybe he doesn't get an assist, like after Cooley won that face-off and Utah broke through on that second goal yesterday. Marino touched that puck after Cooley won the draw and got it up ahead to Gunther for Cooley.
Yeah, I think they're both really versatile, and a lot of times you'll see an offensive defenseman paired with a defensive defenseman, but both of those guys, Marino and Schmidt, can kind of do a lot of the same stuff. They're different players, but I think Schmidt's a little bit more quick twitch, and Marino's has more of a smooth glide to him. But they both move the puck really well. I think Marino's good at jumping up into the play. And I think Schmidt I think they both have really good first passes. I think the only thing with Marino is maybe he holds onto the puck a little bit, like just shoot it, whereas Schmidt is it's quicker off his stick at the point. But I love the pair of them together, and they've been so stabilizing, I think, for Utah, and not necessarily razzle dazzle every single night, but they're getting the puck out of their end and up the ice. And we say it a million times, but good puck moving defenseman who can get the puck up the ice, that makes the forward's job easier. And that's like the first step for a forward, is getting that crisp pass from a D-man. So yeah, those guys have been great, and they'll have to be good again tonight against a Montreal team that comes at you in waves. They've got some physical bodies in the lineup as well. You think of Josh Anderson, a Florian Jackeye is now in the lineup. Arber's brother, he's a physical presence in the bottom six. And so making that quick first pass and breaking the Montreal pressure is going to be important for that pair and all of Utah's defensemen. And we're hoping we see Sean Durzi tonight. We don't know if we're going to, but we keep seeing him at practice in full contact drills. Not sure when we're going to see him, but when he does come back, it's another element to Utah's back end, which has been pretty good.
And that was one of my top 5 stories coming into the season. The fact that Utah was hoping to have that 50 car, as you call him, and I love it, in the lineup on a regular basis, playing in all of those situations, because he was the best defenseman, played the most minutes on the team the year before they came to Utah. Bill Armstrong made a trade for him with LA, got him to play heavy minutes in big situations, and signed him to a 4-year contract last summer to do the same. And poor Sean just hasn't had a lot of luck in terms of just being able to stay healthy with that shoulder.
Yeah, and he brings something that Utah doesn't really have right now, and that's someone who is willing to take the puck up himself through the middle of the ice and enter the offensive zone. Like Sergachev can do it. You'll see him do it on the power play. We've seen Marino do it a couple times, but Sean Durzi is certainly more willing to carry the puck himself and use his skill to navigate through any kind of neutral zone pressure and get the puck in. So look for that when Durzi comes back. Offensive-minded guy, but plays really well in his own zone. I think I was surprised by that, having never watched him extensively, but seeing him in person last year, I was pleasantly surprised at how good he was in his battles and how dedicated he was to the defensive side of the puck.
Yeah, good skater, and I love the guy, and I just can't wait to see him, finally get into that groove and be the player that he is, that Utah just hasn't had the honor to see yet.
Well, let's get to our guest here on our Wednesday edition of Mammoth Daily. It's an Odd Man Rush Wednesday, and we brought in the big guns. We brought in a guy who's been bringing the Thunder all season long, going back to last year. You guys know him from the NashCast. You know him from the radio. We had him on the radio on Monday in that win against the Vegas Golden Knights. I believe he's undefeated when he's in the building, Adrian, even dating back to last year.
That's the message. That's the narrative. And we've got a NashCast tonight, folks. You can see it on Mammoth Plus and SEG Plus. Just sign on in, and you'll see it right there. You can click it. And Tyson and his guests will have more on them. We'll entertain you while y'all watch the game together. It's a great, fun concept, the NashCast. And, of course, new weekly episodes wherever you get your podcast, just like us, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Mammoth Plus and SEG Plus.
Talk to Alexander Kerfoot. He is the guest on the podcast version of NashCast that has come out today. So check that out as well. But let's just say the guy's name. I don't think we've said his name yet. Tyson Nash is our guest here on our Wednesday Odd Man Rush. Let's get to
Tyson Nash.
That sounds exactly like him, actually.
What the who is a NashCast?
Tyson Nash, the owner, proprietor, the leader, the captain of the NashCast, and our guest on our Wednesday Odd Man Rush.
It's time for your Wednesday Odd Man Rush.
Welcome into our Wednesday Odd Man Rush, where we have a member of our broadcast crew, our own Tyson Nash, the owner, proprietor, and star of the NashCast show. Tyson, you're in town right now. You're doing this from your hotel in downtown Salt Lake City. What do we have on tap for tonight? I know it's another NashCast night.
Oh yeah, baby. First of all, it's great to be back in Salt Lake. It has been a while. Our last NashCast, in fact, brought the losing streak to an end. Just so you guys know, I think we're actually undefeated in the 2 years that we're continuing to roll here. So yeah, I mean, you guys need help, you call in NashCast, right? That's what we do. And I'm the star of the show because I'm the only one on the show. So so that's how that works. But do we have a show for you guys? We have Terry Ryan on the pod, on the NashCast, not in studio, unfortunately, but he has committed, guys, to me. This guy's from Newfoundland. He is like, whatever you think about what it's like in Newfoundland, or a Newfie, like to call themselves, this is the guy. I mean, he epitomizes exactly what that is all about. I mean, it's like he just came right off the fishing boat. But what a story, what a journey. The guy's now, he's written 2 books. He's a movie star. He's getting some huge roles, not only in Shoresy, but like other movies in Hollywood. So you'd love to see it. And again, his career is a beauty of one. Like, this guy was an 8th overall pick to the Montreal Canadiens. Like, and as a Canadian, especially from Newfoundland, to be a part of the Montreal Canadiens, that is the biggest honor you could ever get in your life. His career, his junior career, his American Hockey League career, and then the wheels just completely fell off, imploded. He only ended up playing 8 games in Montreal, and actually in the entire National Hockey League. So he's a really interesting story. I don't want to blow up your guys' pod that I absolutely love, by the way. But my second guest is going to be Mike Weir. Mike Weir, and if you're a Canadian and you even remotely like golf, you loved Mike Weir, and that's what it comes down to. He won a green jacket. The guy has literally done it all, and he lives here in Salt Lake City. He is the biggest, and I mean biggest, Mammoth fan. We went out for lunch yesterday, and he couldn't talk enough about hockey. He literally jumped at the opportunity to come on the show too. He's watched it. He loves it, and he just loves the stories, right? And so we're gonna have those 2 guys on. It's gonna be a beauty.
Wow, that's awesome. And Weir, I think, is a season ticket holder with the Mammoth. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Right below us, folks. I think he's got 6 tickets that he shares with a buddy of mine who's the biggest heart surgeon in probably the U.S. as well. So they're spreading the love. They're down there eating the good food. They got the club seats, so they're enjoying themselves. They love every bit of it.
And of course, this week's edition of the NashCast, which will drop today. Tyson, what do you and Mikey have coming up on the NashCast this week? Because Mammoth Daily is off Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. So if folks haven't liked and subscribed to the NashCast, this is a great chance to do that, to get your fix in.
Well, I appreciate you guys plugging the show. And again, I think as a Utah Mammoth fan, your guys' podcast is the absolute best because you're in there, right? You're in the fire, boots on the ground. You're in the locker room. You're talking to the players. There's a lot of people that pretend to know what's going on about the Utah Mammoths, but you guys literally live and breathe it. Fultz, you even more so. You're on the bird. You're in the hotels. I heard they got a restraining order against you because you're so close to them, but a microphone in their face every day, but it's what we do. Content, boys. We're printing content. You guys do a great job, so keep up the good work. And as far as my guests go, the podcast that drops, it's Alexander Kerfoot, and what a story, what a journey. Every answer was so thoughtful and way funnier. Way more personality, Fultz. I don't know if you agree or not, but than I ever thought, right? Sometimes when you just stick a microphone in a in a player's face in the locker room, they're a little bit guarded, right? But I find when you get them on the pod, they loosen up. And they start telling stories and talking and ripping on guys. And that ultimately is what I miss the most. I don't miss playing. I don't miss getting beat up because I got beat up a lot. Miss the paychecks a little bit, but I miss just talking and hot stoving. And that's the best part of our jobs, right? With these podcasts, we're just another idiot with a podcast. I get it, but I love it. And AD, I was talking to you earlier today. I know this is what you feel like is your passion right now.
Well, we had Kerf, and it was great to chat with him, and you said it, like, so smart and cerebral and thoughtful, but then he did kind of start to open up to us a little bit in that NashCast interview. So go check that out on NashCast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the NashCast official as well. But Tyson, you do work with Amazon Prime as well. You're a part of a national broadcast crew. So you're getting a look at around a lot of the rest of the league. Can you kind of put the Mammoth in perspective compared to what you have seen from the rest of the league, how Utah fits in the Western Conference, how you think they stack up against the other teams, the other good teams that you've seen so far?
Well, and that's the benefit, right, that you have of traveling around and watching other teams and not just focusing. Sometimes when you're so close to the forest, you can't see it, right? And you take a step back, and the one thing that I do know and that I've seen from doing all these other games is that every team goes through it. Every team struggles. Every player struggles, right? The good teams, they just come out of it quicker, right? And so happy that this team, the Mammoth, got off to such a great start because you knew trouble was coming. When the schedule came out, I mean, and you hate to use the schedule as an excuse, but it has been an absolute grind, and probably the biggest grind of any team yet so far. Now, every team's going to eventually go through it, and you hope to get through it unscathed, right? But I think the biggest thing is you have to just understand that it's about consistency, but every team goes through it. There's going to be a down. And right now, Utah was in a little bit of a down. They had a huge win the other night against the Rangers. But when they play the way that we saw them play earlier in the year, how fast they play, speed, they're not going to intimidate you physically. We know that, but they can intimidate with speed and how they manage the puck and smart dumps. You heard Andre Turney talking about today, dumping the puck in the right area, using that quickness, using that explosion to get on those loose pucks. And ultimately, that's how a lot of goals are scored in the National Hockey League. You don't see a lot of tic-tac-toe, beautiful goals that are scored. You got to simplify. You got to dumb it down. That's what the Mammoth is doing right now. But if you're a diehard Mammoth fan and you're wondering what this team is all about, pump the brakes. They are just fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to get out of it, and they're going to play some great hockey down the stretch.
Yeah, Tyson, one thing that Andre Turney will tell us when things are going well, you're trying to get back to things going well, is the other team is allowed to be good, right? In the NHL right now, and more than ever, with upwards of 80% of the games being 1-goal games or 2-goal games with empty netters. And when teams see a group like Utah come out, win 8 of the first 10 games and play how fast as they do, and they see the power play clipping at 35%, they've got coaches and video guys and analytic guys that are going to try and stop that when they play them, right? So it's not just the schedule, but during the course of the year, you're doing stuff good. Then all of a sudden you come in and said team has a plan that sometimes works and can slow you down, and then everybody copies it and you got to adjust on the fly.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. And so to have a start like that is great, but it can also be a detriment to your group too, because now you're like all of a sudden going, okay, Tampa's coming into town. They see you've won, whatever streak you're on, you're 8-1 or 8-2, whatever it was. And they're like, okay, hang on here. All right, this team's for real, right? Last year and years in the past, they got the backup goaltender every night. They didn't get the other team's best, right? Now they are getting the other team's best. Every night they're going to get the number one goaltender for the most part. And you're going to get the other team's A game. And so that is kind of the detriment part of it. But, again, this team is on the right track. We know that. And I was watching Ottawa. I was watching Boston, and we were looking at these teams going, these are the 2 worst teams in the league. They're awful. They're never making the playoffs. Well, now you look at them, right? Now they're up in the standings, and I'm sure the St. Louis Blues are going to have a comeback for the ages as well, just how they're built. So every team goes through it. Utah's going through it, but it'll be just fine.
Tyson, last one for me. Montreal Canadiens in town tonight. Big night, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, a festive NashCast with you seeing, the NHL on a weekly basis when you're traveling around with Amazon. What's the plan tonight for the Mammoth to beat Montreal? Saw them a couple weeks ago, might have been the second most frustrating game of the year next to the one they played against Vegas last week. But if you're a Utah fan sitting in Delta Center tonight, watching Maddie and Dom, watching the NashCast, listening to Hockey Night in Utah on the radio, what do you look for Utah to do to get 2 points here to wrap up the homestand?
Well, you better start on time, first of all, because Montreal has gone through a similar skid, right? I mean, they're a team that had a great start. They were the talk of the National Hockey League, really coming out of their rebuild and funk that they've been in the last, few years, but their big boys are gunning. The biggest thing for me is that you have to show up on time. Make sure you're ready. Match the other team's work ethic. Push the pace a little bit. Again, that's how Utah is built. That's how they have success, is using that speed. So don't get caught up in playing Montreal's game plan, because they don't play like that. They like to handle the puck more. They like to go east to west. They're a little bit more like the old Red Army back in the day. If there's no play, they're not dumping it in. They're going to go back with it, across with it, and then carry it in. That's how they want to play. That's how their coach, Martin St. Louis, that's how he played his entire career. You work so hard to get the puck. Why would I just dump it into the corner and hope to get it back in a 50-50 battle? So I think that's the biggest thing for me. Their power play was red hot for a good majority of the season. So stay out of the penalty box. As fired up as you are to play in the Delta Center, it's going to be jumping. Big game against the Canadiens, because everyone gets up for those ones, especially all the Canadian guys on the Mammoth team. They're special. Those games are special, but you got to play aggressive. You just can't afford to play reckless, right? And discipline. Special teams is everything in the National Hockey League. We know that.
Everybody go watch and listen to the NashCast. That's tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. It'll be Tyson Nash with Terry Ryan and Mike Weir. That is an unbelievable cast. You had Eddie O on the show the other day. Like you have had a star-studded cast on NashCast, my friend. Of course, including yourself. But thank you, Tyson, for joining us, and we'll see you tonight at the Delta Center.
Boys, thank you. And one other thing, my co-host, by the way, he is back. He is back, and he is going to be heavily hydrated at Lake Effect, I can tell you. But Mike Commodore is back in the house as my co-host. So I had to throw that in there as well. The hair is growing. The afro is coming. So Big Red is coming back to town, boys. He loves Utah.
Wow, that's big. All right. Can't wait for that, Nasher. We'll see you.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Wrapping things up here on our Wednesday Odd Man Rush edition of Mammoth Daily. A thank you to Tyson Nash, and a reminder to everybody to go check out the NashCast on SEG Plus, on Mammoth Plus. But AD, wrapping things up here before we send people on their way to a nice little Thanksgiving break. Mammoth trying to pick up 2 points before American Thanksgiving here against the Montreal Canadiens. Lots of notes about teams in the standings at the Thanksgiving mark. Is it 70 or 80%? That makes
it's closer to 80, Mike.
Closer to 80.
Yeah.
If you're in the playoff picture by American Thanksgiving, there's an 80% chance you make the playoff based on recent history. Now, there's plenty of exceptions to that rule. You think of the 2019 St. Louis Blues that went last to first. You think of 2023, the Edmonton Oilers were 5-12-1 by American Thanksgiving, and then, of course, reached the Stanley Cup Finals. But if you're in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving, odds are you are going to be in a playoff spot by the time we finish the regular season in April. Utah right in the mix, right where they need to be right now, trying to finish off the homestand right. No practice yesterday, AD. We're traveling tomorrow on Thanksgiving to Dallas, and then we're back in action against the Dallas Stars on Black Friday.
And we got a video submission, Mike, from Matt McConnell and Nick Olczyk, who say, not practice yesterday, but there's been some practices lately. And it sounds like, Mike, you've been missing a lot of practice lately. Let's go to the videotape.
Well, another practice in the books there, Nikki. And where's our buddy?
I don't know, Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey Folta. Where is he? I didn't see him today. Did he not get the memo?
I didn't see his lawn chair with the cup holders in it.
Yeah.
He might still be at home brushing his hair because it's looked like recently he's combed it with a grenade with the pin pulled out. But I don't know where he is.
I don't know where he is.
Maybe he's prepping for tomorrow's game. I don't know.
No chance. There's no chance on that. By the way, did you hear what Andre was like? He was looking at our group and he didn't see Mikey.
Yeah.
Read between the lines.
He asked where Mikey Folta is, and since coach is in charge of the lineup the game, Mikey could be a healthy scratch. You never know.
Hey,
you don't show up, you don't practice.
If you don't practice the day before, you typically don't get to play. And second year in the league and he's already flaking out? Really?
Are you done? Is Will on the radio call tomorrow? I don't know.
I think Will might be. AD
too.
AD's got about 800.
Okay, let's go prep now.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my, that is a farce. That is a farce. That there was one practice I missed because we're taping Mammoth Daily or something, and those two numbskulls, they had to have loved that. That had to have made their day. Was that last week? 2 weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
Oh
and Maddie finally figured out how to send a video on his phone. That's why we just got it.
Oh, holy! That's a tough look for me. Them being able to rip me like that, but geez, Matt and Nick, our own teammates on Hockey Night in Utah. I feel betrayed. Oh. It's like Caesar. Oh, A2 Brute? Come on. That's unbelievable. I'll never miss a practice again, regardless of what other responsibilities I have to take care of. I'd like to see them handle 2 podcasts.
Oh my goodness, Mike. I couldn't believe it either, but we thought it'd be fun for a third segment to send everybody to Thanksgiving. Again, no episodes Thursday, Friday. We will have our Mike Morning Afters on YouTube. So we'll have those to recap the game, our YouTube exclusives. And Mikey, big one tonight, Montreal in town. Would love to wrap up this homestand with 3 out of 4 and would love to go 3-0 on second chances this year. Folks, an extra half hour to get to the Delta Center tonight. It's a 7:30 face-off. So keep that in mind. Maybe you have time to get dessert if you're going out to dinner. You can get a dessert. So we'll see you at the Delta Center coming up later on. Hockey Night in Utah on the radio at 6:30 on the KSL Sports Zone. And we'll see you tonight. Stop by, say hi, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody, if we don't see you before.